Okay, hello. My name is Georgina Juarez, and we have Mr. J here coming to the mini prenatal nutrition lesson. We're going to be introducing vitamin D as well as probiotics and omega 3. Have you heard of these before?
Yeah,
Okay, can you tell me a little bit of vitamin D?
yeah.
So, what do you know?
I know that vitamin D can be absorbed through our skin through sunlight.
Perfect. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to let you know the overview and the purpose of why we're doing this prenatal lesson. And I would also like to know what got you interested. Okay. So, first of all, I'm here to inform you on a little bit of nutrition. It's not going to be a complete nutrition class or anything like that, but we're going to discuss vitamin D, the probiotics, and the fatty omega 3s and what they're good for pregnancy. Our objective here is to find out, what you know, and as well as I want you guys to understand me in my end. So let's go ahead and learn about the nutrients and how we're going to incorporate these nutrients, okay? And all you need is your enthusiasm, some excitement, happy face, and just do you have a pen? You have the paper I made for you guys? Okay. So I'll just go ahead and discuss everything. I'm gonna let you know what each nutrient is, what they have. Then I'm gonna go ahead and introduce you more elements as well. Just a little abstract, just a little like scientific information background. Again, every woman is different, every pregnancy is different, so you do have to make sure that information is given to your doctors or whatever questions you have as well. This is just some information with some studies that have been found to be beneficial for pregnancy, as well as so any pregnancy outcomes with many do's and don'ts. So when it comes to pregnancy, just make sure you're aware of what your family's eating, what everyone's okay with, and again what cost can is you're able to spend in the food you take. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so our goal here is just to inform and to just show you what I have available, what I've found, and the benefits of it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just discuss a little bit of what probiotics are first. So I will teach you guys about the probiotics. And then just go ahead, and if you have any questions, just let me know. So basically, probiotics have been known to come from fermented microorganisms. They are probiotics. Basically, are maternal supplementation. Seems to be leading to decrease in infantile colic or regurgitation. So basically, what we know about probiotics is they're little microorganisms that are formed from, let's say, yogurts, or nowadays you can find them through vitamins and minerals. And these microorganisms help our flora, our intestinal flora, what we have in our body. They help us fight certain infections, especially within women too. It helps a lot with their pH, their vaginal pH, as well as there's have been many linked studies to, again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, that when mothers have taken the prenatals, they have been known to help with baby colics and babies regurgitation, meaning like the coming of the fluids from their bodies. They've also been known to help with preterm labor. So some studies found that certain microorganisms and use of probiotics helped with preterm labor,
Hmm.
as well as preeclampsia. Do you know what preeclampsia is?
That before they cut the cord.
No. So preeclampsia basically, some women can be end up with hypertension. So basically, what happens is this hypertension gets so severe that the baby and mom are both at risk of um, life or death situation. So there's been research that certain and a specific amount of strains of probiotics and throughout pregnancy have been able to decrease preeclampsia because of decrease in inflammation that probiotics cause. There's also been studies of eczema. So eczema is an autoimmune disease. It affects mainly the skin, and probiotics have also been linked to eczema in their offspring decreasing. So there's been studies where no they were assessed and made sure everything, they were a certain amount of children were followed, and they found lower cases of eczema um, with the use of probiotics, as well as so let's see, some probiotics that are well known are also in capsules or packets. There are certain products like Visbiome probiotics, which are maternal supplementation, and they're the ones that have been specifically known for that, the colics and all that little regurgitation. But again, every strain is different, and also depends how often you take them. And don't forget to do, whoever the doctor is, just make sure you're following up with them. And I do have some image pictures of the probiotics that I myself am taking, because I myself am pregnant. So there's probiotics from here, Garden of Life. You don't have to get this brand, but these probiotics are great. I've been taking them for some time, and it makes me, especially because a lot of times with pregnancy, women do suffer from constipation, and probiotics also help a lot in that. There's kefir, which also carries different kinds of probiotics, just like, let's see, just active cultures. So there's kefirs, there's like basically yogurt. Also, the wick gives yogurt, and there's, you'll find active cultures on there. I do take a protein. Again, always make sure you talk to your doctor. This protein specifically has the Bacillus coagulans, which is a type of probiotic again. And as I mentioned before, there are many studies. It's always good to look back. I can always discuss every study we went through, and where I got it from, so that you guys are aware as well. And the next one that element that I'm going to talk about is the omega-3s. So basically, omega-3s help with brain development. In regular persons, we use omega-3s. They always tell you it's good fatty acid, but specifically for children, fetal brain development is one of the biggest reason why omega-3s are important. So these help with the nervous system, tissues, as well as DHA, which is a type of omega-3. It's concentrated in the gray matter of the babies. So it's going to help, with the cells of the retina and all of that. Let's see, what can I tell you here? So there's benefits, of course, of omega-3 intakes. So DHA, EPA are two types of omega-3s. So the baby's brain development peak starts at the third trimester. And if you didn't take it before, or if mom doesn't take it before, it's fine. What matters is that you decide to take it. And they do always recommend to have fish, because fish contains all that EPA, DHA. Now you're maybe wondering, what kind of fish? At least me, when I was, before I even got pregnant, people would always be saying you can't have seafood. Seafood is high in mercury. You can't have this or that. But it's fine to have seafood as long as you're aware of what seafood you have. What we're worried is mercury levels. So just make sure you're looking and you're investigating, or asking your doctor. What are the best recommended fish to have. Some of the best ones that I can think of are cold water fish, which are like your salmon, your sardines, anchovies, um, herring, and mackerel. But again, go ahead and ask. Also known is the fish roe, like salmon roe. In the third trimester, you can take it and then just make sure you get cleared with your doctor. I also take the prenatal DHA, so this one right here, and it's it has 830 milligrams, and it has 400 IUs of vitamin D, which is what we will be also talking about. And so that's what I take. And omega 3s have also been linked. So, aside from fetal brain development, also assisting with oxidative stress, inflammation, gestational diabetes. So, uh, all these omegas, and you're wondering, well, what's it good for inflammation and all of that. So a lot of things, like we mentioned before, hypertension, we're thinking of inflammation, we're thinking of extra stresses, and that's going to create oxidative stress, and that's going to affect the baby developing. So, this is one reason why we I believe in omega 3s are great for mom and for baby. Uh, and again, we can always look up more information. We can always ask the doctor, figure out if there's any more nutrition we can take or classes, just to figure out, what's best for you, how much should you be taking or not. Um, but again, as I mentioned, the best benefits is for the brain development of the baby, because it's officially correlated with brain development as well. So now vitamin D. Vitamin D is a vitamin, right? Vitamin D helps with bone development, and we also need vitamin D in order to have phosphate and calcium intake together. So you do get vitamin D, as you mentioned earlier, from sunlight. So sunlight hits us, and we produce vitamin D from that. But a lot of times, with this busy schedules, with being inside the house or so, we don't always get sunlight. So, how else are we going to get our vitamin D? Well, first of all, let's go ahead and ask, question what vitamin D is for. Vitamin D in pregnancy has been linked to decreased preeclampsia again, which is that hypertension that gets really bad, preterm labor also, and bone growth. So, osteoporosis has been a problem for a long time now, especially for women. And we got to think women are giving all their nutrients to this new baby, right? And if they don't get any vitamin D, they can decalcify, which means they can decrease their calcium and their bone mass, and then eventually this can lead to many problems. Vitamin D has also been linked to decreasing eczema, meaning vitamin D during pregnancy showed that childhood eczema was decreased by that. So that's pretty interesting to think. If you're combining all these elements, all these benefits you can have. Vitamin D deficiency. So a lot of times, what happens with deficiency is you'll be feeling tired, you'll be fatigued, and therefore you should consider vitamin D in your diet. Again, it's good to screen before, because if you're just taking vitamins or minerals and not using them appropriately, then you can get affected, especially if you have a baby with you. It's also important to help regulate your calcium and your phosphate, and you're keeping your teeth strong, healthy, your bones, your muscles. And vitamin D, if whether you need it or not, helps with your immune system, the cell growth, reduces inflammation, also helps with blood pressure. This is why you're seeing all this decrease in preeclampsia, decrease in blood pressures. And to here, so vitamin D, where can you find vitamin D? Well, you will find vitamin D here. So vitamin D can be found in small numbers of foods: oily fish, red meat, liver, egg yolks, fortified foods. A lot of our foods already come fortified, so you will get your vitamin D through that. Like me, I don't really go out that often. I'm usually working or just staying in the house, especially right now. So I use vitamin D vitamins. And again, you have to just make sure you get cleared by your doctor. Make sure everything's okay. Make sure that they do test you. Make sure your vitamin D is okay. That there's no deficiency or anything that can be causing, or if you have any disease related to anything else that can avoid cause back something to worsen. So overall, that's your little mini prenatal nutrition lesson. A little bit of all these nutrients. And now I'm just going to ask you a couple questions to see if you have questions for me or if I can answer anything else. So, do you remember what probiotics are?
Yeah. They're microorganisms that allow you to have a better amount of intestinal flora in order to fight any kind of infection or virus.
Yeah, I don't know about the viruses as much, but it's bacteria, and if there's bad bacteria, they can help with that. So where can you find probiotics?
You can find it in DHA, and you can find it inside of
Okay.
kefir products,
Yes.
Greek yogurt,
fermented products.
As well as fermented products.
So fermented products are yogurts. Anything that's, I don't know what you're used to eating, but whatever fermented, you can find them. You can also find them in capsules nowadays. You find them in different things. Okay, what about your omega-3s? What kind of omega-3s are there?
Omega-3s, there's DHA. And basically, omega-3s allow your brain to develop during the fetal stage for embryos.
Yeah.
And basically, the fatty acids are healthy ways in chain themselves in order to help our brain development.
Yeah, but basically.
And you can find it in fish as well if you don't have the omega-3 capsules.
Exactly.
But be careful because of mercury levels in fish.
Exactly. So basically, there's EPA and DHA. There's two types of omega-3s. And each of these fatty acids are the ones that are going to be working towards that fetal brain development. Again, decreasing that inflammation, assisting if there's any risk for preeclampsia, preterm labors, or anything like that. So it could help out. And now, what did you think about vitamin D? So what's vitamin D?
Vitamin D is a essential vitamin that allows your immune system to be reinforced. And vitamin D is found through sunlight, as mentioned before, as well as oranges, any orange fruit.
Well,
not any orange fruit, but mainly oranges.
Well, actually, vitamin D is yes, it's from sunlight. So vitamin D, we obtain it from as we go outside, the sun. Yes, as we absorb, it helps. We eventually produce vitamin D, but it doesn't always happen. So vitamin D again can be found in oily fish, red meat, liver, egg yolks, and fortified foods. As I mentioned, vitamin D is in a lot of things like milk. So vitamin D has milk. Why? Because we got the calcium from the milk, and we have the vitamin D helps absorb. And that's why you'll find vitamin D fortified foods. And again, otherwise there's vitamins, but if that's not always possible, then that's why we have the milk. Okay. And that's overall. Do you have any questions for me?
What's your favorite vitamin? What do you prefer
From
vitamin?
all of them,
Hmm?
I would say I think probiotics are very, very important just because um, I, at the beginning of my pregnancy, was having a lot of issues with stomach, and I was taking probiotics, and that was the best thing that worked for me. Like it regulated me. I stopped having all this problems with my stomach. I couldn't really eat right. I was getting indigestion very often, so it helped me a lot. It's helped me at least in many ways. But again, the combination of all of these is what makes the goal towards a healthier pregnancy and healthier lifestyle as possible. Again, vitamin D comes from the sun. We can be out in the sun for a little while. We don't have to go and spend all that money. And that's the point, too. We want to be able to obtain our nutrients from the most appropriate foods that we can. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming to the class. And again, I can go ahead and also I will be sending all of this information and as well as all the sites where I got it, where all the resources came from and everything, so that you're also able to follow along and find out more information. Okay?
Thank you.